So, as the Capitol attack investigations being conducted by the House Select Committee and by the Department of Justice begin to work their way up the criminal ladder, they're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Let's talk about Don Jr. and Alex Jones, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So there's some new reporting that both the House Select Committee and the Department of Justice may soon be hearing from some of the higher profile insurrectionists, Donald Trump Jr. and Alex Jones. Let's start with Jr. Here's the new reporting from ABC News. Donald Trump Jr. expected to meet with January 6 committee. And that article begins, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6 Capitol attack is expected to meet with Donald Trump Jr. in the coming days, sources familiar with the matter tell ABC News. Trump Jr.'s appearance is voluntary and comes after the committee invited him to speak with their investigators, sources told ABC News. The panel has not subpoenaed him. Trump Jr. would become the latest member of the Trump family to meet with the committee. In recent weeks, the panel interviewed Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, both of whom served as senior White House advisors to former President Donald Trump. Now, when the House Select Committee investigators question Jr., I sure hope they ask him about this. We have multiple paths. We control them all. POTUS must start second term now. Donald Trump Jr. texts to Mark Meadows just 2 days after Election Day 2020. Friends, Jr. texted the Chief of Staff to the President of the United States, Mark Meadows, 2 days after the election, before the votes were fully counted in the battleground states, before the election was called. Jr. texted Mark Meadows, Daddy's second term must start now. You know, that is so deeply un-American. It is so dangerously undemocratic. It is so disgustingly dismissive of the will of the voters, of the rights of the American people, that if Jr. is asked about that text to Mark Meadows, boy, he would be well advised by his attorney to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. We'll keep a close eye on this story, friends. But let's turn to, what I would ordinarily call the lighter side, the Alex Jones story. But, there is no lighter side to treason. Here's the new reporting from the New York Times about Alex Jones. Headline, Alex Jones reaches out to Justice Department about January 6th interview. And that article begins, Alex Jones, the host of the conspiracy-driven media outlet InfoWars and a key player in the pro-Trump Stop the Steal movement, is in discussions with the Justice Department about an agreement to detail his role in the rally near the White House last January 6th that preceded the attack on the Capitol. Through his lawyer, Mr. Jones said he has given the government a formal letter conveying his desire to speak to federal prosecutors about January 6th. The lawyer, Norm Pattis, maintained that Mr. Jones had not engaged in any criminal wrongdoing that day when, chanting slogans about 1776, he helped lead a crowd of Trump supporters in a march to the Capitol as violence was erupting. Now get this, friends. Even though Alex Jones' lawyer said, well, he committed no crime, as a condition of being interviewed by federal investigators, Mr. Jones, who is known for his rants about the deep state and its supposed control over national affairs, has requested immunity from prosecution. Okay, let's circle back. Alex Jones' lawyer assures us that, well, he's done nothing wrong. He committed no crimes, and he wants to talk to the federal prosecutors investigating the Capitol attack, but he's going to need immunity from prosecution. You know, he committed no crime, but he's going to need immunity so that when he talks with the federal prosecutors, his statements can't be used against him because they would incriminate him. So he's going to need immunity, even though he did nothing wrong. What pure and utter nonsense. You know, Alex Jones reminds me of the defendant whose lawyer convinces him to give some kind of an apology before he is sentenced by the judge. And the best the defendant can come up with is, you know, I didn't do anything wrong, and I promise never to do it again. First of all, I think it very unlikely that the Department of Justice will grant immunity to Alex Jones. I think it far more likely the Department of Justice will charge Alex Jones and then have him plead guilty with a promise to cooperate as a cooperating witness. But even more fundamentally, you know, with Don Jr. wanting to speak to the J6 committee and Alex Jones wanting to speak to the federal prosecutors, it really does feel like the rats are preparing to jump ship and they're hoping to land in a lifeboat. You know, given the evidence, given what we know, guys like Jr. and Alex Jones did, I'm kind of hoping that when they jump, they land instead in an indictment. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, thank you for tuning in to these daily Justice Matters videos. As you may know, we're an all-volunteer operation, up and running 7 days a week, posting a legal analysis video every day. We couldn't do it without your support. So if you're inclined to more formally support our mission, our efforts, our content, please feel free to go over to patreon.com. You can sign up to become a patron. And if you do, I will send you some Team Justice and Justice Matters stickers and a personal handwritten note of thanks. And friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.